Our healthcare systems are feeling strain, and frontline workers don't have all the resources they need to stay safe. We're seeing folks have to hold up signs and wave to their loved ones from across the street, and hearing heartbreaking stories about people suffering the devastation of this virus alone because it's too dangerous to have someone at their bedside. I cannot in good conscience allow any types of gathering that would further the spread of this disease and to put more lives at risk. I have been advised by public health experts at the Department of Health Services that despite the heroic efforts and good work of our local election officials, poll workers, and National Guard troops, there's not a sufficiently safe way to administer in-person voting tomorrow. That's why earlier today I signed Executive Order 74 to suspend in-person voting for the spring election until June 9th, and call on the legislature to convene in special session on April 7th to take up legislation extending the date of the spring election to June 9th, or another reasonable date we can all agree on. In the interim, eligible Wisconsin voters may continue to request, receive, and cast mail-in absentee ballots, register to vote or update their registration status, and all ballots already cast in the 2020 spring election will remain valid and will be canvassed in conjunction with the in-person voting on the new date. I've also said before that I am deeply concerned about the local elections on the ballot and ensuring continuity of government as we continue to respond to this crisis. Executive Order 74 will extend the terms of those currently serving in these local elected offices until we're able to safely hold an election and certify the results. Now, to be clear, this was not an easy decision that I made lightly. Frankly, there is no good answer to this problem. I wish it were easy. I have been asking everybody to do their part to help keep our families, our neighbors, and our communities safe, and I had hoped that the legislature would do its part, just as the rest of the state are, to help keep people healthy and safe. But as municipalities are consolidating polling locations and absent legislative or court action, I cannot in good conscience stand by and do nothing. The bottom line is that I have an obligation to keep people safe, and that's why I signed this executive order today. We've seen a number of other states, including our neighbors like Ohio, make changes in their elections in order to preserve public safety as we fight this disease. The difference between all those other states and what is happening in Wisconsin comes down to the legislature. In all those other states, Republicans and Democrats and the governor's office in the legislature work together to find the right solution. I've tried for weeks to meet Republicans in the middle to find common ground and figure out a Wisconsin solution. But at every turn, they fought all the way to the United States Supreme Court, even the most basic and common sense proposals to ensure a safe and fair election. That's not how it's supposed to work, folks. We've got to work together to keep people safe. That is the bottom line. All along, that has been my promise to Wisconsin. I will follow the science, I will listen to the public health experts, and every single decision I make will be guided by what's right, what the right thing is to do to protect public health and safety. There's no shame in changing course to keep people safe and, quite frankly, to save lives. Our allegiance cannot be to party or to ideology. It must be to the people of Wisconsin and their safety. You know, most Wisconsins don't care about political fighting or battles that are going on in the courts. They're just scared right now. They want a governor of the state to stand up for them, and so that's what I'm doing. The Wisconsin Constitution requires no less of me as governor. Our Constitution establishes that the purpose of the state of Wisconsin is to ensure domestic tranquility and promote the general welfare. And as governor, I made an oath to uphold that Constitution. My hope is that the courts of Wisconsin will agree that this is an unprecedented moment in time and affirm that my action today is necessary to keep the people of our state safe.
The health and well-being of the residents of Wisconsin is our focus, and that is why we are taking further action today. The upcoming election is a statewide election, and it requires a statewide solution. In-person voting, by definition, inhibits our ability to physically distance, and the recent consolidation of polling locations in many parts of Wisconsin would result in mass gatherings. In-person voting would, without question, accelerate the transmission of COVID-19 and increase the number of cases. And an increase in the number of cases in Wisconsin would result in more deaths. Throughout this response, we have put the health and safety of Wisconsin residents first, and that is why I and the DHS public health experts advised Governor Evers to avoid the mass gatherings that would result from an in-person election on Tuesday.